Hello, everyone. This is Jason Deere from Dice and Dragons, and today I'm going to be doing a card art reveal with Dennis Furia of Furia Games for his upcoming game, Deck of Wonders, which should be coming to Kickstarter in August. We also are fortunate enough to have the artist for Deck of Wonders, Lauren Brown, joining us today. So,
Hi.
Let everyone introduce themselves, and I'll let Dennis take it away, talk a little bit about Deck of Wonders, what we should know about it, and then maybe just a little bit of the thought process in terms of the game, the dual-sided cards, and then Lauren can talk a little bit about some of her work on the art. And of course, we're going to be revealing the new card, the Poison Toad.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Like this is great art and a really cool format for the card, which we'll get into. But yeah, thank you for having us, by the way. This is so exciting. And we've done some other reveals. It's been so much fun every single time. So excited to share this with you as well. Yeah, Deck of Wonders is a solo legacy expandable card game. So it is solitary. It is you versus the rules. And it is a legacy game, meaning that as you play, even in between games, the rules are going to change and the challenges, deck building challenges, the villains that you're facing, the kind of cards that you're playing with are all going to evolve as you play the game. And then it's an expandable card game. I took a lot of inspiration, both from the living card game world and from the world of CCGs like Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering. If you're fans of either of those games, you're going to feel right at home playing Deck of Wonders. The most notable thing, like I said, is that it is a game that is solitaire, meaning you can play it at any time. It all runs off of a deck of cards, the titular Deck of Wonders, and that fits in your pocket once you've built your deck. And you can be playing that. You know, I've literally played it on the airplane lunch tray in front of me while flying. So this is a very portable game.
How many games will fit on that airplane lunch tray? There are quite games. Getting on that lunch tray is very challenging.
Yeah, I just finished playing Arkham Horror, the card game, which was a fantastic experience. I loved it, but I took up the entire table every single time. Which is, that's great for a lot of games, but I'm a parent myself. Jason, I know you are as well. And it's kind of a fact of life that sometimes it can be hard to coordinate, 8 friends for 6 hours over 2 tables worth of space to play some of these deep strategic games that I know I really enjoy. So that was part of my inspiration for Deck of Wonders, saying, can I create a meaty, thinky, strategic experience that also fits in over nap time? Or over lunch break or whenever. And that's really what I hope I've created here. And I hope people will enjoy.
Well, lunchtime gaming is definitely something that's becoming more and more popular, I would say. Over the past couple of years, I've seen many blog posts or people discussing their sort of lunchtime groups on their podcasts or even on Reddit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the One Player Guild is the largest guild on BGG right now. So solo gaming is here to stay. So the story of this game is that you, as the player, have stolen the Deck of Wonders from Fate herself. Think of Fate as the deity that presides over this world, and the Deck of Wonders is this powerful magical artifact that she treasures. And you've gone and stolen it, you jerk, right? And your motivations for that may become clear. But certainly she's not happy with you, and she has sent her followers to take it back from you. Not only that, but there are darker forces in this world that see you having the deck as a chance to take it for themselves. And suddenly you have all of these forces coming together to try to take the Deck of Wonders from you, and you are fending them off using the Deck of Wonders itself. And that's kind of the theme of what's going on. Now, kind of in keeping with this idea of fate, and the Deck of Wonders, every card in Deck of Wonders, as you mentioned, has a duality to it, has 2 sides. And you'll see it in a second, which is very exciting. But if you think of a king or a queen in poker playing cards, it has that kind of mirrored art to it where you can invert it and still see the same thing. And that theory has both a thematic and a mechanical impact when you play Deck of Wonders. Not only that, it's not just mirroring side to side, it's a bit of like a twisted mirror or a story. Lauren has dubbed it the tame and the wild side of the card, that depending on when you draw it, it is going to have a different impact on the game. And yeah, that's kind of what's going on here. And that is the kind of very quick lead in to the art that we're going to see today.
All right. Thank you very much, Dennis. Now, before we get into the art, you mentioned that Lauren was the one that dubbed it the tame and the wild side. I'd love to get a little bit around, a little bit about that thought process that you had, Lauren, when it came to dubbing it that, because, some people might see it as through the looking glass, and you being the artist and really sort of giving that visual style and the visual language to Deck of Wonders. You went for something that maybe another artist wouldn't have done. Instead of having a twisted mirror, you went with something a little bit more wild.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, the reason why I had thought of the name, tame and wild side rather than good and evil or dark and light, is because those different opposing sides are so black and white, it seems like. And I think that tame and wild is describing kind of the nature of the deck and the nature of each card art a lot more, a lot better than something so completely binary. And so it's not necessarily evil that, for example, that you see a forest troll defending its home because you understand why it's doing that. Or it's not necessarily evil that you see, pixies charging into battles, they're probably protecting something. So it's just it seems like it's unleashed. So I wanted to call it wild instead. And a lot of the card art, kind of shows that unleashed side. So I felt like that was probably the most apt description of what those two sides could be called instead of something so completely opposed.
Well, I think that makes a lot of sense, especially with Dennis giving us a bit of a background of it being Fate. I've also got a chance to play a demo game of Deck of Wonders with Dennis. So we didn't get to use the final art at that point, but I can definitely feel the spirit of that sort of tame and wild because, as Dennis was saying, it's people that are trying to take advantage of you having the deck to take it for themselves. It's not necessarily the deck itself that is evil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and all the cards are coming from the deck.
And that's something I'm very excited about as a legacy experience and something that has a story that unfolds. Even though it's in these little 15-minute segments, which is fun to play with. But there are larger things at work, and not everything is as it seems. And I've said too much already, but I think it was a very apt descriptor that Lauren had.
Well, just because something takes 15 minutes doesn't mean it's not difficult and challenging. You mentioned being inspired by Hearthstone. I was playing a match a little earlier today, and boy, that 15-minute match definitely was a little bit of a brain burner where we both ran out our decks. So
it'll still make you sweat, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So why don't we go ahead and reveal the art of the poison toad to the world?
Yeah. And so like you said, the art we're sharing tonight is the art for Poison Toad. And I'm going to put it up here on the screen, big and beautiful. Hopefully you guys can see this right now. Is that up for you guys?
There they are.
This is the art for Poison Toad. And we'll show it in a second in template, but you can already see the duality in the script being flipped for this
I'm going to jump in quickly here, just in case we do have any glitches in terms of editing. We will get the art added in post. We're doing this via Zoom, so just so that everyone is aware, it will be there. But if you're wondering why that, you see a little bit of a flash to some artwork that maybe looks a little different than as we're discussing it, we've got your background. So I'll let you take it away again, Dennis. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I would love to kick it over and say this is Poison Toad, and this is the genius of Lauren at work. So Lauren, I'll let you talk about this.
Yeah, so Poison Toad was definitely a fun one. It's a little minion that essentially I call it Death Touch because I'm just I'm a Magic player.
Yep.
But yeah, what our process is working together is that Dennis will give me a card art brief that has a pack of references that doesn't really define what it's supposed to exactly look like, but it's just the mood of the piece and what it's supposed to convey, which I prefer much more because it gives me enough ground to go off of while not restricting me at all creatively. I'm just okay, I know what parameters I need to keep this within. And so it helps me just figure out and settle on an idea. And so the actual original sketch of this art was already pretty good. It was pretty dynamic. With the toads flying through the air, and essentially the poison toad catching, this already kind of poisonous toad from nature. And they both have a fantasy element to it. But I really like the idea of playing with, a toad that's like just a more natural looking toad that is being a victim by a toad that's been essentially transformed by the forest, because you see like the sharp wood, the texture of it. And it's like, the way I like to think of it is like this toad can probably camouflage in the trees and then strikes at the moment that you least expect it. And this huge toad, which is like the size of the other one, is still viable prey because that's the nature of this forest and that's the nature of this world, that anything could happen. And, there's never really an underdog because there's always some kind of defense that, these creatures of this fantastical place, that's what they have naturally. And so I really wanted to show that, and just given, kind of like a hint to the poisonous nature of that frog with the neon purple spikes, but also have the more barky, skin of the toad, which is very unusual to, the normal soft amphibious type toads. I really wanted to give that kind of feel to it. It was a lot of fun to play around with this one because of the movement. And a lot of the cards have either been like blended together in terms of the narrative or like those two opposing sides. But this one was a lot of fun because this is essentially one continuous image, but you still get different things if you look at each side individually. So that was a lot of fun to play with as well, and trying to get those dynamics of both sides going and getting them to interweave in a way that they work together seamlessly. So, it was a fun challenge to be able to do that.
Yeah, I love you mentioned the aerial nature, and it was such a cool twist to take something that it feels kind of earthy, a toad, and it's earthy. It could easily be in a bog somewhere, and to just make it so acrobatic and athletic. And this is like one of the most action-packed scenes that you see in the art so far, which is really fun, like this mid-flight confrontation or mid-leap confrontation, I should say.
Yeah,
but yeah, you clearly took a lot of inspiration from poison dart frogs, which are like the actual thing in nature that are very brightly colored as a signal of like, do not mess with me.
Yeah, don't touch me.
And then you kind of taking that fantasy and be like, all right, what if the poison dart frog also had the body armor to match?
Yeah, and you kind of see it too in like in the forest troll, where like basically like that nature has seeped into the physicality of this creature, and so the troll is like definitely if a tree just grew sentient and like became like a whole like being. And so it was a fun thing to extend that concept to a frog. And it's like, what if this frog has been also transformed by the forest? Like maybe the trolls haven't been the only thing that has been touched by that elemental nature. So whether or not that was your original intent, that's where I took it. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, and that is the coolest thing about this process, is just the way that I'll brief something and then Lauren kind of has cool ideas and twists and taking it to the next level. And what comes back is just so much greater than you could ever, or I could ever imagine on my own. I'm gonna pull this up in template, but Jason, we've been talking because we're enamored with this art. I'd love to get thoughts from you, and I'll pull up the art in template here in a second.
Thank you. So what I really like about the art, and I love the conversation just about how you've got that toad that has sort of been twisted by the forest, and it now looks like something otherworldly, and it definitely looks almost like a wilder version of a toad, which is, I have to say, considering that the toad already exists fairly well, like in nature, to see something that's even more like extreme, but still so clearly based as a part of that world and that ecosystem, I really like. And I think my favorite aspect of the art is that even though you've got the toad that's under attack, like you don't see any like fear. Like oftentimes if you watch like National Geographic or something, like an animal when it's being attacked is often afraid of the being prey from the predator. And this show's kind of like, well, you're messing with me, but I might just be able to mess with you as well.
Yeah.
Perfectly balanced. Even though one is in danger, it's not afraid that it doesn't seem worried that it can't get out of that danger.
Yeah. And like the funny thing is that it really can't, but it doesn't know that yet. It's like at this point, it's not really even aware that it's about to get got. which was the concept for this piece too, is that like, because this the actual poison toad is so stealthy, it just kind of like lashed out immediately and just like is about to rope its prey without even like knowing. And so it's that split second before the prey actually realizes that something's about to happen and it's probably going to be bad. But if the poison toad, like if the top toad thinks that it's okay, it definitely isn't. And that little hint of the green slime to really show, like to emphasize the poisonous nature of this, the tree toad, I'll call it, it's just like, it's definitely probably going to perish in a few seconds. And so that's what I'm conveying.
Not even. It's funny, and Jason, as you're describing that, the kind of stories you tell yourself, or that you notice new things or infuse new meaning. Because I'm thinking now, like that's even a little microcosm for playing Deck of Wonders. Is so many times, the rules are structured to favor the villain, right? The story is that fate doesn't like you in this, and so things are going to be difficult for you. The villain is at advantage, and you really are being pounced on in the game itself. And so like the tame side toad here, you need to find ways to fight out of sometimes desperate situations. And you're going to quickly realize, if you're not paying attention, that you're behind, and that even the same minions on the villain side have gotten the upper hand on you because the rules favor the villain.
Mm-hmm.
So long, is there any chance that toad survives, or he's just a coward?
I think it's a goner, unfortunately.
I think throwing off to another card, I think it needs an Earth Shield on it.
Yeah, it really does. Maybe the only way to defend itself.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's the card.
Did you want to bring up the template that you had? Because I know, so we're back on the main image.
I do. I realized as I shared it that I put it in the wrong thing. So hold on. This will show in template. Just ignore the text on it.
Well, if you said you could swap out the art later, you can probably we can probably just show the correct one, and it might have been the one that I sent. And because I have a template for all the cards, and I just dropped the image in, so I might not have switched the text for this one.
There we go. That'll give you a feel for where it shows up in the template.
All right. No, so for the viewers that are watching this after post, we've got the full template here. There is a little bit of editing that needed to be done. That's why I've inserted the corrected art in post. You're getting a little bit of the details behind the scenes, but that's part of the fun of interviews. We get to do things a little bit off the cuff, and thanks to Photoshop, well, not just Photoshop, but Photoshop Premiere, and all those other great tools, we can make things come out the way we want them most of the time.
Yeah. But in terms of layout, what you're seeing right now live, and then certainly what the viewer is seeing, this is what the card will look like when you pull it out of the Deck of Wonders. And depending on if it's your turn or not, you're either going to be happy to see it or unhappy to see it. We've stripped away, by the way, the flavor text and rules text and everything that would go on that parchment, just because this is focused on the art.
And it's much better to focus on the art, and we're here to discuss the visual medium of Deck of Wonders and not the story. I'm sure that for those that are interested, if you do enjoy our discussion, and especially if you'd like to see Lauren back with any more details, as well as Dennis, especially if we're talking more about the game itself, we could definitely do something where maybe we talk a little bit more about the lore and the world itself. Just let us know down below in the comments. It'll be up to you, the viewers, to bring them back.
Yeah, would love to play it with you, especially when we've got the full art version of the game, which will be exciting.
Yeah. I can't wait to see the full art version too. Gotta get it all done first, but it's it's really been a blast. And so, Dennis, he doesn't know this yet, but he has a surprise in his inbox. So that's really fun.
I've had so many great surprises today. This has been awesome.
Lots of good news today.
Yeah. Personal news. There's been lots of really fun, exciting stuff going on. So thank you for that. This is too cool.
So, have you played the game, or how many times have you played the game, if that is the case, to sort of decide on this visual medium? Did it help inform the style that you wanted to bring to the game itself?
For me, or is this for Dennis?
For you, like, how many have you played the game itself a few times with Dennis yet?
I have viewed it actually. I can't technically play it with Dennis, but I can go on Tabletop Simulator and play it. And I actually only just downloaded it the other day because when I first was ready to download it, I was like, oh, this costs money. But I was just like, well, I got it anyway. And I watched many of the demos being played. So the explanation and everything of like how the game works and how the mechanic works has definitely helped to inform it. But in our very first conversations, he explained like basically the entire premise of the game, how the gameplay is supposed to go, and basically like, you know, the play sessions even, and how the player is supposed to feel while playing the game. And so all of those were able to help me and like help inform like what the style was supposed to be. But the cool thing about, you know, stylistically was that when Dennis had found me at Gen Con last year, he just like saw my booth and he was like, oh, like this is the style that I want the game in. So I was like, oh, that's great. So I could just do the thing that I do. And it's always a much better situation that way. So, you know, like it was definitely really cool to see some of the card briefs and see some of my actual portfolio pieces in those briefs. And I was like, oh, okay, like I get it. And so, you know, that also helped. But just like, you know, the idea that there's supposed to be, you know, this lore that's tied into each card and, you know, this world and this cohesive like concept of, you know, like, you know, what the setting is, you know, where you are when you're playing this game. I really wanted to capture that in each of the cards and have, you know, recurring themes. Sorry, my cat is making noise in the background. I wanted to have recurring themes and, you know, little Easter eggs that if you look at the cards for long enough, you kind of pick out and you look at it closer and you're like, wait a minute, hold on. And like, I just wanted little things that you could pick out later that, you know, to make it a gift that keeps on giving, so to speak. And so, you know, I definitely hope I accomplish that. And it's going to be, you know, probably like it's going to be present in, you know, the cards in the future. And also it is present in the cards that I've already done. So it should be fun for the player, like a good reveal for them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's kind of funny to think, Lauren. Oh, go ahead.
I was curious. So you met at Gen Con. I've unfortunately not had the chance to go to Gen Con as of yet. Do you want to tell the viewers a little bit more about why you were at Gen Con, Lauren, about what you do besides art for Deck of Wonders? I don't know if you've done art for other games or anything like that you'd like to promote. I think you, well, you deserve the time on our platform. So go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah, I've done a few tabletop games before, mostly RPGs. And so I worked recently on Princess World, which was a funded Kickstarter that ran earlier this year. And Rockalypse was like the very first one that I got to do, which has been live for a while now. That was, I think, back in 2016, something like that. So yeah, like I've definitely done that. And like Gen Con is a really good ground for finding new jobs and new gigs in that realm. You know, it was my first year tabling there, and I was really intimidated by the artist alley, and I didn't think that, you know, I didn't know how I was going to be received at all, because my work is very different from a lot of the artists that were there. It's like a lot of them are very like high fantasy, really painterly, really detailed, amazing work. And you know, like my stuff is really line art focused, more graphic, more whimsical. There's some Nouveau influences in there, so I had no idea how the audience was going to take me, and they were just. The reception was unbelievable. It was really beyond anything that I could have expected. And, you know, like from going to Gen Con, I got maybe 4 different gigs just based off of that. And there's some more rolling in, but I had to turn them down because I was like, I'm too busy. Because outside of doing, you know, tabletop game illustration, I also work full time as a game developer. So I'm an artist, you know, at an actual game studio. And so it's just like I work 8 hours a day or more. And then, you know, afterwards I work on this project and whatever other commissions or freelance I have to do. So there's definitely a lot of stuff flying around and a lot going on. And in the meantime, I also have my own online store. So it's like maintaining that, doing this work, doing full-time work. And so yay, that's my life. And I signed myself up for a lot, but I really like doing all the work.
I am eternally grateful I got onto your plate before everyone else.
Yeah, there's a lot of people we're at the same
time. Yeah. Just seeing the reaction to this art to you know, other art that we've revealed is really, really cool. So it's been something special for sure.
Yeah, it's been a joy. Absolutely. So
it's almost everyone in this gaming industry. Well, not necessarily everyone, but I say a fair bit of people are always doing this as sort of the hobby or the side gig, and not quite as the as the main gig, unfortunately. Hopefully, we can all dream that one day tabletop RPGs and board games and card games will be just as successful as video games and other forms of entertainment. It's definitely growing, but we're not quite there yet. So soon, hopefully soon.
I mean, I've grown up loving both, so I have respect for both, like immense respect for anybody, Dennis, who can design games and make them viable and make them fun, and have so many different ways to play this and still have all the mechanics work and not be broken. I always think that's really impressive. Like, you know, like I was like, oh, like I want to design my own game one day, and just like to peek into all the mechanics and what was required to stand a game up is just the amount of work is staggering to me. And you know, like I'll just do the art. and
just that is the most understated just you are ever going to hear.
You know, the small job of doing, yeah, no, it's that takes a lot of work too, for sure.
Well, give you an example. I've broken board games before, not necessarily broke them, but there are certain combos that work far better than others.
You find exploits.
Well, not necessarily exploits, like playing Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth. It's almost required that you play with the Pathfinder class. You can move around and explore the whole board. We did not do this our first campaign. We were told the next campaign we should do it, and there was some modifications that were made, I felt, to balance the game out a little bit more. And yeah, we were about halfway through the game with max weaponry because we found everything. So we had everything maxed out.
Nice.
So the game was very easy until we got to the end, where finally the difficulty curve caught back up to where we were. For a while, it was like, this is just a little ridiculous. Oh yeah, you this big boss. What is this? Oh, here's my full combo. You're dead.
And it's gone. Yeah. This is serendipitous. I finished the arc. I do a fair amount of solo gaming, if you can't tell. So, you know, got me into making one. And I just finished Arkham Horror, the card game, my first playthrough of that, and I'm gearing up to play Journeys in Middle-earth. I've played it co-op. I've never played it solo. So we'll have to geek out about some strategies because I haven't decided how many members in my party and which ones and all that stuff. So
I'll tell you right now, Fairvorth Pathfinder is almost a must, especially if you're playing base campaign. So sorry for viewers, it's a little bit off track, but hopefully our banter in this interview, that's part of what it's all about, getting to know the people behind Dungeons and Dragons, as well as the people that are bringing you this gorgeous looking game, Deck of Wonders, that's coming to Kickstarter in August after Gen Con. Well,
yeah, August 25th. The date is out there.
Or Gen Con at home. I don't remember what they're calling it.
Online. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Well, I think we've covered just about everything that's related to the art as well as the game that I want to cover. Dennis, Lauren, is there anything that you'd like to add to the conversation?
Gosh, no. I mean, so I think this is going up before Gen Con Online. I am demoing Deck of Wonders via Tabletop Simulator for the entirety of the con. So every 2 hours, pretty much, like you can come, you can get your hands on this game and play it. I know, Lauren, you're going to have a booth there as well, a digital booth.
Yeah, through the Looking Glass. If you want to find my booth, it is Looking Glass, and I'll, perhaps be putting some pre-order Deck of Wonders merch on my shop. So please check it out for sure. And also, on Tabletop Simulator, when Dennis is, playing the game, and demoing the game, the final art should be all ready to go. And so please look forward to that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So please send me the links to those events, also to your booth, so that I can include it in the video description. So if you hadn't heard about Deck of Wonders, you're first hearing about it right now, take a look down below. And during Gen Con Online, you should definitely reach out to Dennis and Lauren and see what they have going on.
Definitely. And if you want to find my booth at Gen Con, you can find me on all social media at LAB Illustration, Lab Illustration, on Etsy, on Patreon, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So, check me out, and I'll be posting more Deck of Wonder stuff and perhaps some process stuff as well. And so that's what you can look forward to. And Dennis, where can people find you online?
Yeah, so I am on Facebook and Instagram at Deck of Wonders, all one word. You can find me on Twitter as well, but it's Deck of Wonders with underscores between the words. And then this game is launching on Kickstarter August 25th. So you can find the coming soon page now and sign up for a notification. You can also, through those socials, find the website and get on the email list and all that stuff. I'm in that category of game. Kickstarter is great for a lot of things. And there are some games on there that are just going to happen regardless. And Kickstarter is kind of a pre-order platform, and that's fine. I'm in the camp where this game, like I will not be able to do it without the support of the community. And the Kickstarter is absolutely critical to making Deck of Wonders a reality. So I'm excited to demo the game at Gen Con. I'm even more excited to launch it on Kickstarter August 25th.
And one thing I do want to mention, because we had some nice discussions about this during our first promo of the game. If you think the game is only to be played solo, I would say if you have played, for example, Chronicles of Crime, a game that is essentially a solo game, but you can play it cooperatively by getting input and feedback from other players, you can definitely play Deck of Wonders as like a small group. I would say like 2 to 3 people, possibly 4, but I don't know if you'd want to go much over that, like that 2-person count really in terms of playing the game. So if this is something to be played over nap time, which I'm probably going to be doing with Julie to get her opinions on this afterwards. This is the kind of game that you can play definitely together as a couple, make some collective decisions, and hopefully succeed and continue along the legacy story path.
Yes, indeed. I've designed it. My focus has been on the best possible solo experience, but I know there's a lot of people that like to have a little bit of co-op action as well.
Well, one of the reasons why I referenced Chronicles of Crime is because in that game, you can play it solo very easily. You're doing everything, but you're getting feedback from the other players, which is, I feel like, exactly how you'd be playing Deck of Wonders with more than one player.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Also helps to reference a game that people probably know to make them like your game more and buy more copies.
Yes, please do. Please do.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, Dennis. Thank you very much for your time, Lauren. And looking forward to seeing more from Deck of Wonders and getting our Kickstarter preview done in the near future.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jason.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.